What is up, car addicts? In this video we'll be talking about this week's Sub Money Event Week as well as the newest additions and discounts as well. This event week is for November 17th through November 23rd, 2022. So for new content this week, we unfortunately did not receive the Sentinel Classic wide body. It's the only one we're missing from the entire DLC, the 12th and last drip feed car. Let's hope it releases next week on the 24th and Rockstar doesn't drag it till December, but only time will tell. But anyways, the current price ride for this week is the Tropos. This car is primarily based on the Lancia Stratos and has a normal price of about $800,000. To get this car for free, you have to place top 3 in a Street Series race for 3 days in a row. Now in terms of performance, this car is in the sports class and is one of the slower ones in that class around the pace of some of the OG sports cars, and even for rally style races, it's still way off the pace of cars like the SE Sport and the Flash GT. But I will mention that it's a ton of fun to drive, especially in rally style races. In terms of the test ride vehicles for this week, we have the Nebula Turbo, the Peyote Gasser, and the Hot Ring Saber as well. And for next gen console players, we have the Cyclone 2 as the HSW test ride vehicle for this week. Now in terms of a casino podium vehicle, we have the Baller ST. This vehicle is primarily based on the Range Rover Sport SVR and has a normal price of just under $900,000 and a trade price of about $667,000. In terms of performance, it's in the SUVs class and is in top 10 for most tracks. However, it's still a ways off the pace of the top 5 SUVs in the class, but still a nice SUV in general. In terms of the dealership cars for this week, for luxury autos we have the Itali RSX and the Morgan as well. And for Simeons we have the Brioso 300, the Silvestra, the Vamos, the Entity XF, and the Manchester Scout as well. Moving on to discounts, in terms of property discounts, we have 35% off the Casaca, as well as 35% off the upgrades and renovations for it as well. This one rarely goes on sale, so if you don't own a Casaca yet, I highly recommend getting one. It is needed to host the Cayo Perico Heist, which is still one of the best ways to make money in online. Moving on to vehicle discounts, we have 30% off the Itali RSX. So this car is in a sports class and is one of the fastest ones in that class. However, the Pariah and Itali GTO are slightly quicker depending on the track and just a lot easier to drive in general. Next up we have 30% off the Morgan. So this car is in the sports class as well and is in top 10 for most tracks due to its incredible acceleration and great handling. However, its top speed is pretty low and that's really what holds it back in general. Moving along, we have 30% off the Silvestra. So this car is in the sports classics class and is in top 10 for most tracks. However, it's still a ways off the pace of some of the top performing cars on the classic, the Turismo Classic, etc. However, it does have great customization and is pretty nice to drive as well. Next up, we have 30% off the OG Entity XF. This car is of course in the supercar class and used to be one of the fastest cars in that class back in 2013. However, a lot of cars have released over the years and now it sits around 35th place in that class for most tracks. But honestly, I still think it's worth owning for the nostalgia, especially if you used to own one back in the day. Plus, this is a pretty good deal on this car. Moving on to the Southern San Andreas website, we have 30% off the Brioso 300. So this car is in the compacts class and is the slowest one in that class, but I do love the styling and customization of it, even more than the wide body variant. I think this is a pretty decent price for this car considering all the customization it offers in its normal variant. Next up we have 30% off the Nebula Turbo. So this vehicle is in the sports classics class and is one of the slower ones in that class. However, it does have pretty good customization and is a lot of fun to drift with. Moving along, we have 30% off the Vamos. So this car is in the muscle car class and is in top 20 for most tracks. However, it is very challenging to drive, but the customization is great and it does one of the best wheelies in the game with a crazy speed as well while doing so. Next up, we have 30% off the Hot Ring Saber. So this car is in the sports class and is very slow in general, and the customization is pretty much just livery options. It's a car I only recommend buying if you plan on doing hot ring races, otherwise it's a pretty useless and slow car. Moving on to the Warstock website, we have 30% off the Varus ATV. Not much to say about this one, honestly. It's in the off-roads class and is one of the slowest in that class. Next up, we have 35% off the Weaponized Dinghy. This, of course, is a Pegasus vehicle with no customization, so keep that in mind. Next up, we have 30% off the Squatty. So this vehicle is in the SUVs class, which always made no sense. However, it got completely outshined by the much better Patriot Mil-Spec in 2021, which was in the proper off-roads class and is better in almost every way. Next up, we have 25% off the Vatir. So this is a Pegasus vehicle, again, with no customization, so I really wouldn't recommend owning this unless you want it for roleplay or something like that. Moving along, we have 30% off the Manchester Scout. So this thing can hold some pretty insane wheelies and has one of the highest top speeds in that class when doing so. Next up, we have 30% off the Vapid Winky. So this vehicle is in the off-roads class and is actually the slowest vehicle in that class with barely enough power to make it up a normal hill, but it does offer tons of customization and I just love the way it looks in general. Continuing, we have 30% off the Annihilator Stealth. So this helicopter is stored in your hangar and does offer some customization. However, it's nowhere near as good as some of the other helicopters in the game, like the Akula for example. And lastly, moving on to the DocTees website, we have 15% off the Longfin. Pretty small discount here, but this is a Pegasus vehicle with no customization. However, it does have the highest top speed out of all the boats in the game, and a top speed on par with most supercars, which is pretty insane. In terms of weapon discounts, we have 30% off the combat shotgun and the military rifle as well. In terms of login unlocks, you can get this Knuckle Duster t-shirt, the baseball bat t-shirt, the red and yellow glow shades, the sunset bracelets, and the hot glow necklace as well, just for logging in this week, which is pretty cool. Now, if you complete a Cayo Perico heist this week, you unlock the Sin Simito Cuban shirt. In terms of double money, we have double money NRP on normal stunt races, and the Cayo Perico races as well. In terms of heist bonuses, we have double money NRP on the Prison Break heist, which will make the payout about 1.7 million, and the Series A heist, which will make the payout about 1.7 million as well, which seems like good money, but remember that the heist must be done with 4 players, and you have to share that payout between the 4 of you. And we do have double money NRP on the setups for all these OG heists as well, but honestly, even with that, I still highly doubt anyone will be doing these heists this week. They really should have been triple money instead of the double. And lastly, for the Cayo Perico heist, the Panther statue is now available as the primary target for all players this week, not just the GTA Plus members. However, it will only be given to you one time this week, whereas for the GTA Plus members, they can get it as many times as they want. Moving on to the Prime Gaming bonuses for Prime Game members only. So again, same as usual, we have the usual free $125,000 for logging in during the event week period, and the one-time 500k bonus for logging in any time between November 3rd and December 7th. And lastly, this week's RC Bandito time trial is Power Station. This week's normal time trial is Cypress Flats. I highly recommend a car with a high top speed or a fast bike such as the Hakachu Drag, Shotaro, or Batty 801 for this time trial. In terms of the premium race for this week, we have the muscle car race Muscle In. I highly recommend the Buffalo STX for that race, or if you're on next gen, I highly recommend using the HSW Vigero ZX. And lastly, for next gen console users, the HSW time trial is Sandy Shores. As always, the HSW Hakachu Drag will be the best one for these. In terms of my vehicle discount pick of the week, I'm going to have to go with the Itali RSX. While it's still very expensive, even with this discount, it's still a substantial discount on a very fast sports car that also has great customization as well. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Overall, this event week is pretty good with the Panther statue finally making a return for all players, the Casaca on sale, and tons of vehicle discounts as well. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.